When people decide to start learning Italian, they expect challenges. They expect grammar challenges, la grammatica. They expect vocabulary challenges, vocabolario or il lessico. But the truth is that the actual tangible challenges that can hinder your progress or just make you quit have nothing to do with the complexities of the language, but they have everything to do with your mindset. I've spent my life learning languages and teaching Italian, and I've seen this happen over and over again on my own learning journey, and especially with my students. I have taught thousands of English speakers, and I've seen how making these 5 mindset shifts allows them to break through the plateau, to start making tangible progress and just enjoy the journey so much more, not to mention getting to their objectives much faster. So here are the 5 mindset shifts that will allow you to keep your progress, il progresso, constant, your motivation, la motivazione, intact, and your enthusiasm, l'entusiasmo, always flourishing. Lesson number 1. We're all familiar with that little voice in our heads saying things like, you're not gonna make it, you should just give up, you're too old to learn, your memory is not what it used to be, or anything along the lines of, you don't have what it takes. Now that voice shows up in the most crucial, critical moments of growth. Now, if you know what it is, it allows you to not ignore it, but manage it much better. Every time it shows up, please remind yourself that the little voice in your head trying to convince you that you should just give up is your lizard brain, or your amygdala, the part of your brain in charge of keeping you safe within your comfort zone. Its evolutionary objective is to make sure that you are safe and that you are not exposing yourself to danger. Learning Italian or any language is such an enormous step out of your comfort zone that your amygdala perceives it as a potential danger, and it will try to convince you to stop, to give up, to not continue. And you will keep hearing it every time you're about to make a serious shift. When you're just starting out, it will be triggered. When you are about to switch gears, it will be triggered. Every time you start making fast progress, it will show up in many different ways. Once you know it's your lizard brain trying to stop you from being vulnerable, and on your language learning journey, you'll always be vulnerable with each new step. Tell it, thank you, grazie, for trying to protect me, to keep me safe. But I've got it. I'm gonna do it anyway. And this actually works. The next pitfall, the next danger that shows up is much more elegant and more dramatic. Leonardo da Vinci was an absolute genius. He shaped Italian Renaissance art, painted absolute masterpieces, pioneered innovative techniques. He studied the flight of birds, designed flying machines, designed canals, bridges and gardens, and the list goes on. On his deathbed, he said this: "Ho offeso Dio e gli uomini del mondo, non avendo operato nell'arte come si conveniva," which roughly translates from the 17th century Tuscan dialect as, "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." This was Leonardo, and still he had this feeling of not enoughness. We've seen hundreds of students make impressive progress and still say, I think I should have done better, more, should have gotten there faster. And this is normal, this is human, and this is what we call the Leonardo syndrome. So if you're constantly measuring yourself against an unrealistic scale of achievement, you are suffering from the Leonardo syndrome. And here's the solution for you. Choose perspective over perception. Your perception of your own achievements, of your own progress, is never realistic, is never objective, and it's always contaminated by emotions. Remember this, it's not your job to evaluate your own progress, your worth, or your achievements. Your only job is to show up and do the best you can. That's it. Tutto qui. I've noticed something fascinating. Very often, when talking to one student and somehow another student from the same cohort would come up, they would say something like, "Oh, yeah, I'm happy with my progress, but I wish I could be as advanced as she is or he is." And then, when speaking to this person, they would say the very same thing about the other student. Now, I found it really interesting because it just shows that our perception of ourselves and of others is anything but objective. The point of this lesson is, while community is incredibly important, we should never compare ourselves to others. Every time you think that person is better than I am, they are more advanced, chances are they are going to say the very same thing about you. So stop the comparisons. Never measure yourself against others. And remember, this is your path. Your path cannot be linear. Sometimes it will be faster, other times it will slow down. Remember, your path is your own. You can never compare yourself to anyone else. So when you see someone, when you meet someone who is more successful or seems to be more successful on the same journey, remember, inspiration, not competition. On our learning journey, we often confuse familiarity, la familiarità, with knowing, il sapere. And there's a huge difference. Only because something looks familiar, it doesn't mean that you know it. In language learning, we have many steps to our ladder of knowledge, la scala del sapere. You can just recognize something, you can understand how something works, you can successfully apply that something, and you can actually be able to use it actively. So, if you've learned the definite articles, gli articoli determinativi, it doesn't mean you can already use them actively. So until you're able to apply that grammar rule, to use the definite articles in a sentence correctly, you cannot skip or not review that lesson. So every time you say, "Oh, I already know this, I don't need to review it, to repeat it, to relearn it," stop and ask yourself, does it just look vaguely familiar because I've heard of it or learned it before? Or can I use it actively? And better yet, can I explain it to someone in a way that would make sense? Now, over the years, I've noticed that students who are ready to review again and again, who never say, "I already know this, I don't need to repeat it or review it," they are the ones making progress faster. By reinforcing the basics, by building solid foundations, they are actually building an unbreakable progress. Most learners approach Italian the way they would learn biology or history or literature, by gathering, piling, accumulating information. The traditional methods convinced us that language learning is all about memorizing a bunch of grammar rules, learning infinite lists of words, and then just putting it all together, and that's it, you are a speaker of Italian. Except languages don't work like that. The process of language learning is a very delicate process. It's a process of transformation. So it can't just be about the information. You are not learning something new. You are becoming someone new, the new version of yourself, your Italian self. So you need to stop learning Italian and realize that what you're actually doing is not learning something new. You are becoming someone new. And that is a very delicate process, un processo molto delicato. And you need to be kind to yourself, at least as kind as you are to other people learning your language, because it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's an identity shift. And once you realize this, your learning process will transform, and it will shift from gathering information into a transformation gear. When things get challenging, and sometimes they will, or during those motivation dips, remind this to yourself. You're not learning something new, you're becoming someone new. And this is the core pillar of the 3D method, the methodology that we use at our school. If you like the idea of the transformation, of becoming the Italian version of yourself, check out my book, Italian You. I'm going to link it under the video. Before you go, make a list of all the words, all the Italian words I've mentioned during this video, and add them in the comments. And if you'd like to go deeper on our holistic 3D method, take a look at this video where I explain its core principles. Make sure you apply these 5 mindset shifts in your learning to accelerate your progress and to fast track your Italian fluency.